welcome all of our investors, our strategic partners, certainly our elected officials. We've got a number of those with us this morning to our June Economic Development Breakfast here at the DoubleTree. I'd like to give a special thanks to Dan Carlino for hosting us this morning. Dan has been a vital component of the tourism and hospitality industry in this community for numbers of years. He's been a leader in that sector, and certainly those are very important components to our overall economy here in western Montana. Again, my name is Jeff Fee. I'm the Chief Exec at St. Pat's, and I'm also the Chairman of the Board for Missoula Economic Partnership. We have a very busy agenda today, so I'll get right into it. You're going to be hearing from the partnership staff about some recent updates since we last met in February. Mike Knauf with Rivertop Renewables will be sharing an update on his innovative company's expansion. We have a special guest this morning, Anna Upchurch with Frontier Airlines. She is the sales account manager from Frontier, and we certainly thank her for flying in and spending breakfast this morning with us, so welcome. Our keynote this morning is Maynann Ellingson, who Governor Bullock recently hired to implement the Main Street Montana project, and she's going to be talking to us about that. So thank you, Maynann, for joining us this morning as well. So at the end of all three of those presentations, or several of those presentations, we'll have an opportunity for Q&A. So make some notes during the individual presentations, and we'll certainly open it up and save some time at the end for some dialogue. We want to thank our long-term investors, those of you that have been with us since the very beginning, but we've also seen some significant growth in our investor community. If the following business leaders are here, please stand so we can recognize you and certainly welcome you into the partnership. Advanced Technology Group. Anybody from Advanced Technology Group with us? Welcome. Corporate Technology Group, CTG. LMG Security. Missoula Urban Transit District. Welcome, thank you. National Laboratories International. Welcome, thank you, Terry. Onyx Mac, Eric Siegfried. Is Eric with us this morning? Shannon Hilliard, Realtor. And Treasure State Bank. Anyway, let's recognize our new investors. I have a brief update to share with you relative to our most recent board retreat. On the 25th of April, our partnership board of directors and staff attended our annual retreat and to review this year's progress and the plans for the partnership's future. James Grunke, our CEO, made his annual update on progress made within the MEP strategic plan. Tom DiFiore, for those of you that were with us from the very beginning, he's one of the ones that actually helped us kick off the project, the MEP, several years ago. He's with National Community Development Services. He walked us through the current economic development trends across the U.S. and talked about the benchmarking study process that we're going to be doing later on this year. We took a really close look at the Sioux Falls Economic Development Organization as they are in their sixth installment. That's the fifth year. They're 30 years into their economic development journey. And some of the things they've been able to accomplish in that time has been truly remarkable, and certainly some things that we can certainly learn from as they continue to grow as well. July marks our fourth year, it's hard to believe, marks our fourth year of our fifth-year plan. After the partnership's benchmarking study is completed in the fall, it will be time to chart the course for the next phase of work for the partnership. So we're coming into another very important time within the partnership itself. Our investors and our strategic partners will play a key role in that process, and the time will come for each and every one of you as strategic partners, investors, and elected officials. We will be asking for you to weigh in on what the future for MEP really looks like after our first 5-year process is over. We also spent time at the retreat looking over the work accomplished in MEP's committees and evaluating the strategic focus of those committees and the work that those committees need to be doing over the coming years. Please feel free to reach out to myself, James, or any of the board members for any interest that you have or any questions that you have in terms of serving on some of the standing committees. And certainly if you have interest in serving on the board in the future as we look at how we continue to bring additional people and organizations into the board structure. Our board is strong and very effective at this time, and we certainly intend on it continuing to be so. And it's strong because we have diverse economic and business skill sets around the table, and we have a high level of engagement from our board members. And that's what ultimately makes MEP successful. So again, if you have interest, let us know. I'm now going to turn the microphone over to Mr. Grunke, who's going to give you an update on some of the recent activities of the staff. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff. Good morning. It's always really rewarding to see so many people who will get up early on a Friday and come hear about economic development. We've been incredibly busy since our last meeting, and I'll quickly update you so we can get to the speakers that we've asked to come and talk to you today. But first of all, I want to let you know that a member of our team, Desiree Stanley, has moved on to take an exciting job at Providence. And all of you that know who have worked with her over the past year know that she'll be sorely missed, but it's a great opportunity for her, and we're actively working to replace that position. Our team that we've been able to build with Desiree, Brigitta, and Melanie, I am so incredibly proud of, and they've been just an honor to work with. And they are so dedicated and they work so hard on your behalf that I would just like you to maybe give them a round of applause. So I also tried to have kind of an over-under bet with Melanie, how far in my comments would I deviate? And I can tell you it was paragraph 3. Earlier this week, the partnership and Mayor John Engen hosted our second annual developer showcase. The number of attendees doubled this year as the interest in Missoula and our tools to promote good development are garnering attention outside of our region. We loaded up 20 guests for a 2.5-hour bus tour focusing on the new proposed urban renewal districts, the existing TIF and urban renewal districts, and the county development park. The feedback was incredibly positive, and our guests said they were genuinely impressed. If you missed the Missoulian coverage of the showcase, I wanted to share with you a quote from a South Dakota hotelier who attended the event, and he told the Missoulian, quote, "In Montana, Missoula is the #1 spot right now, according to my research. My first time here was a month ago, and I loved it. It's a place I could move to. Just talking with everyone in the city, they're excited to have people come in and build, and that makes me excited." And I think, as the mayor pointed out, who would have thought, I think the quote was, pot-smoking, Burstock-wearing Missoula became the business center, and I think we've done great progress on that. That's exactly the kind of comment that we want to hear and support our marketing strategy, that Missoula is your Live Quick scheme. The booklet from the showcase is on your table, so you can learn more about the event, and we look forward to telling you down the road about some of the new investments in the community. It's really interesting to watch the side conversations occur over the day as people are looking at opportunity and the developers are meeting each other and with our service providers and seeing deal ideas starting to flow just on that event. We're very excited about it. In other news, we're proud to announce a business recruitment success last month, and we welcome Harris Manufacturing to Missoula County. Harris Manufacturing is a new company with a long history of Oregon-based operations in the field of contract fabrication of custom steel industrial equipment. Eric Gronweg, the general manager of Harris Thermal Products, is in town with us today. So Eric, please stand and let us welcome you. Thank you, Eric, and again, welcome. After evaluating several Montana cities to build their new operation, Eric told us that he chose Missoula because of our high-quality workforce, our proximity to market, and the workforce training programs available for them at the Missoula College. The partnership guided Harris through their evaluation process by connecting them with government, business leaders, services, and programs that they needed to ultimately choose our community. When the company begins operations in the fall, they will be hiring 25 to 30 welders, as well as other skilled and unskilled workers, and they bring upward of $4 million of new capital investment into our area. Harris Manufacturing is an example of everything we want to happen with our business attraction efforts. Harris fits perfectly with one of our 5 best industry categories that we focused our attraction efforts on. When they committed to Missoula, they chose a local bank and local engineering, architect, and construction firms to employ for this project. They work closely with our strategic partners such as BRED and the Missoula Job Service to tap into all the programs that they are eligible for. And this truly is a good win for our community. And we thank the local team of professionals that helped make this happen. Again, Eric, we applaud you in choosing Missoula, and we look forward to seeing you grow here. And we welcome you back to come back in the future and share details with us about your new Bonner facility. The IT sector is another best fit category that we have spent quite a bit of time and attention on, and we continue to see this paying off as our high-tech business ecosystem continues to grow. As you've heard here before, the partnership spearheads the Big Data Alliance, which has become a monthly conversation amongst leaders in the public and the private sectors working in or support high-tech industry. Last month, the Big Data Alliance organized Missoula's participation in the International Big Data Week. Missoula was the only Montana city and one of the only small urban areas featured in this week-long showcase of thriving high-tech clusters, and we're incredibly proud of that. We co-hosted free sessions featuring local data experts from the University of Montana, GCS Research, Intineo Systems, SemanticWeb.com, LMG Security, and Data Smart Solutions. The sessions were filmed by MCAT, and they'll be available on YouTube later this summer, and we're already discussing how to build next year's showcase even bigger. We hear from our startup clients in the IT field repeatedly that we have a very supportive high-tech network and willing mentors at the ready, engaging for meetups and an industry-wide culture that is attracting national attention to Missoula. In April, an industry blog named Missoula one of the 7 top tech hubs among America's small college towns. No other Montana city made this list alongside Ames, Iowa, Ann Arbor, Michigan, or Fort Collins, Colorado. We'll continue to work diligently in this sector and help grow our high-tech cluster to support the good-paying jobs that they offer. Now I'm bringing this slide back up that I showed you in February, where we declared it the year of the startup. And this is a reminder of the national attention we're receiving for the amount of venture capital investment being pumped into our business ecosystem. And Mike Knauf, who we're going to hear from in a few minutes, is probably building our circle even bigger. But we spend a lot of time supporting existing businesses because of the best strategy for a healthy economy is to grow our own businesses. Whether it be an idea hatched on the campus through the John Rufato statewide business plan competition, or in Paul Gladen's Blackstone Launchpad office. Entrepreneurs with big dreams who are ready to make sacrifices, bootstrap, and beg for help that they need to take their ideas into the marketplace come into our office regularly. Some of them have their exit plans mapped out way before they have the balance sheet numbers in a row. But there is no denying the fact that we have an incredible number of impressive entrepreneurs in Missoula. MEP connects them to local business experts and mentors them through our free innovation initiative sessions on Wednesday nights. Even more importantly, we give startups the free prescriptive business advice that they need to get going on their runway to success. One of our 4 goals, as we set out 3 years ago to achieve, one of them was to foster the growth of 25 startups. As we embark on our benchmarking report, we are announcing that we have served 57 startups since our inception. Some no longer need our help, but many still pick up the phone and call Brigitta or me regularly, and we have hundreds of hours invested in their success. And we've invited a group of these hardworking entrepreneurs today to introduce them to you. So can the entrepreneurs from the following companies please stand if you're here, and we'll hold our applause to the end. Agile Legal, Montainer, Montana Grow, New Leaf Environmental, Orbital Shift, FilmSpur, QuantPost, Submittable, one for me, Taproom Tours, US Local Apps, and Vim and Vigor. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. We encourage you to visit with these businessmen and women after breakfast and learn more about their companies and what they're doing. We celebrate the success of our startups, and we can think of no better success story to share with you today than Rivertop Renewables. Rivertop's CEO, Michael Knauf, recently announced they raised an impressive $26 million from Cargill First Green partners, and existing investors to build out their facility at Montech and hire 20 new staff to help them expand their work in innovative green technology. I've had the pleasure of working with Mike and his team as they've grown from an idea on campus to a thriving business across the river. And it's my pleasure to invite Mike to the podium today to tell you more about what they're doing. I welcome Mike Knauf.
Well, thanks, James, and thank you all at MEP for having us here today. I've got a few remarks, and it occurred to me that it's been about 3 months since I pitched the company. After pitching the company about 2 or 3 times a day for a year and a half, I'm rusty. So if it doesn't go perfectly, that's the reason. Anyway, we're just really pleased with the community that we have here in Missoula and in Montana. The relationship with the university is fantastic. The folks at Montech, just very supportive. And a startup is I think you said something about begging for help, James, and yeah, we've done a lot of that, and thank you all for your help. Individual investors, angels within this room. We even have a former board member in the back there with Terry Benishek. Anyway, thank you all. It's been quite a journey for the company, and I'm very happy to tell you about where we are now and where we are headed. So we use a chemical conversion process to basically take carbohydrates and convert them into useful chemicals, and it's useful in the fact that they're novel and they're sustainable, and they have value. And we're not going out there and telling the world, hey, we have green stuff, you should buy it. We're telling people that we have chemicals that are going to help them innovate in their product lines, in their processes, and add value to their businesses. So we have what we believe is a very viable business model that is going to be sustainable. What we're trying to accomplish is to take some of the more harmful chemicals out of the environment by replacing them with sustainable chemicals. Phosphates, for example, in detergents, they've been banned in 16 states and effectively in the U.S. Europe is next in our target market, which is automatic dishwash detergents right now. And we also are replacing petrochemicals. Plastics remain in the environment, and they're very difficult to deal with over time. They're not all recycled. Just go look along any lake or ocean or stream, and you can see plastics that are not degrading. And so what we're doing is coming out with chemicals that will replace them. Our technology map is rather simple and elegant in that what we do is we take renewable, sustainable biomass feedstocks and oxidize them using our patented process that was invented at the University of Montana by Professor Don Kiley in the chemistry department there. And what we are able to make is a series of products, monoacids, diacids, and polyacids that then have multiple uses out in the industry. Next. Our target markets, we've been selling our corrosion inhibitor to the Montana Department of Transportation. We have a contract that I think it's in its 3rd year, or we're in year number 3. And our next market is the consumer detergent market, where we have what we call Rios Detergent Builder. It's to replace the phosphates that were taken out some time ago. The replacement chemicals that they've been using have not been very effective. I have a slide that many of you have already seen that I'll show you in a second. The other markets that we're interested in right now are really what we would call partnering opportunities. And with the funding that we've received from First Green Partners in Cargill, it allows us to go out and develop collaborations with multinational and global corporations and go out and innovate with them and explore new areas. And we're very active, and this is just a sampling of some of the areas that we're working in. So this is the picture that's worth 1,000 words. We're not just green, we're clean, and we're able to go in and our R&D group, and Tyler Smith is sitting right here. I just woke you up, Tyler. his team works directly with consumer product companies to improve their formulations. And we have an example here on let's see, the far left, your far left, where Rivertop's Rios detergent builder has been replaced into a formulation. And I think you can see that compared to some of the products that are out there on the market today, we have really good performance, and that's what's driving our commercial development. And we're extremely excited about the way that we've been able to gain traction with potential customers. We are going after multiple markets, and we start with our anchor market in auto dish. You can see it's a tiny little dot in the middle along the value versus investment graph that we have here. And we're after a number of much larger opportunities, again, most of them working with partners. So the technology breakthrough that's interesting, and for biofuels geeks like myself, there was a bit of a problem that we ran into in the biotech world that I was a part of for years and years. We were removing oxygen from sugars and trying to make hydrocarbons for fuels. And unfortunately, what that does is it gives you really, really poor yields. And what we found is that by adding oxygen to sugars and making performance chemicals like our Rios detergent builder, the yields are fantastic. 100 pounds of sugar results in 144 pounds of product. We're very cost effective because of that. And it's a very simple process. So where we're headed right now is we've had this as our internal rallying cry. We have to be fast, we have to get to scale immediately, and then we have to become the industry standard in multiple products and industries across the globe. And this is taking quite an investment. So what we're doing is we're building out our commercial staff to be able to go after not only the detergent markets, but also go after some of the other collaborations in the other markets that were listed on that previous slide. We're building out our technical staff, and we've taken on 2 capital projects. The first is to build contract manufacturing capacity of 8 to 10 million pounds of Rios detergent builder with a partner in Virginia. The next is to build out our pilot facility, or we call it a semi-works facility, right down the street here at Montauk in our facility. And that's a $4 million capital project that we're in the final stages of engineering on both of those projects. We expect to be in full production first quarter of next year in Virginia, and we expect our pilot plant to be operating in that same time frame. So we're moving fast. We just got funded April 4th, and we're already at that stage. So very exciting times. So the venture backing, these are some great names, and I love to put this slide up because I can't tell you how many times we met with First Green Partners in Cargill, and we're told no a number of times. The persistence of Jerry Kolstad and our team is just incredible, and begging for help is what we were doing. But we got there, and some of the other investors along the way, and many of you in the room today as well. So the $26 million is being put to good use. We're hiring here in Missoula. We've had 4 people start, all local folks, start work at our facility in the last week and a half. And we have 5 openings right now that we're trying desperately to fill. In fact, I had dinner with one of the candidates here last night at the DoubleTree. And we're just really moving forward. It's extremely exciting times. So, just a few words about our team. We bring onto the board a number of really stellar board members. Brian Silvey from Cargill, he heads a business unit there, an old friend and a super guy. Tom Erickson is a very seasoned venture capitalist. We still have Ron Musin and Dave Berner. Dave lives in Montana, and he's been extremely helpful. And we have an advisor as well, Keith Grime, who was, as we're going after consumer product customers and relationships, he was the head of Procter & Gamble's Fabric and Home Care R&D for several decades. So he's a fantastic partner. And then we have our team. I've mentioned Jerry Kolstad, one of the co-founders, Tyler Smith, sitting right here in the front, Don Kiley, the founder, Steve Donen with 2 capital projects is, what did he say, as busy as a one-armed paper hanger or something like that. He's having a ball, traveling all over the place. And then John Monks has joined us a year ago, who heads up our business development. So I wanted to thank you all for the time. I think I was pretty close to my 10 minutes, and really appreciate all the support the community has given us. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks for sharing your story and for growing your business here in Missoula, and congratulations on your success. So last night when I was driving home from work with my 10-year-old daughter, we were talking about our plans for the day today, and I indicated, well, I'm going to go to work early tomorrow, and I'll be at our investor breakfast. One of my jobs is to introduce one of our speakers, and she said, oh, well, what do you think you're going to say? And I was driving and maybe absentmindedly rattled off a couple sentences, and she paused, and in a way that only your own child can convey to you, said clearly that she was not pleased with my delivery, and she said, Mom, you might want to make sure that everyone has a snack while you're talking. So hopefully you've all had plenty to eat. And I will do my very best to convey to you this morning the excitement that I feel in welcoming our next guest, and in fact the excitement that the entire community of Missoula feels in welcoming Frontier Airlines to our community. More than 2 years ago, Missoula Economic Partnership began working in earnest to bring a low-cost carrier into our community. We were very pleased to join Frontier this winter when they announced that they had indeed decided to come to our community and initiate air service here. And I am very happy to report that tomorrow morning, their inaugural flight out of Missoula will be taking place. For the first time, Frontier Airlines Airbus Jet 319, seating 138 passengers, that's for you, Brian and Chris, I know you'll be excited that I remembered that, will be flying out of Missoula on a nonstop flight to Denver. And from there, we will have the opportunity to be connected to 30 additional low-cost destinations in the United States. We're very excited about that. Many of you will remember that in the work that our Air Service Task Force was doing, one of our primary goals was in fact to attract a low-cost air carrier to our market. Bringing in an air carrier like Frontier Airlines will help us to drive competition and drive down the overall costs of air service in our marketplace. We are very pleased that Frontier has stepped up to fill this role in our community. So on the eve of the inaugural flight out of Missoula, we would like to welcome Anna Upchurch from Frontier Airlines. She is corporate account manager for Frontier, and she's going to join me up here right now. And actually, I would like to invite our mayor, John Engen, to come up as well. I believe that tomorrow will be declared Frontier Airlines Day in Missoula, and I believe that the mayor has a proclamation that he wishes to make.
And really, that's all I do is proclaim things, so very, very happy to be here. So for those of you who don't know, tomorrow, this inaugural Frontier flight, you can go to Denver and then Paris for $7.35. So that's something to think about.
And we're out of business.
Well, maybe a little more, but it's close, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, whereas the economic growth and vitality of our community is dependent upon better transportation, and whereas the citizens of our community benefit from better air service and reasonably priced airfares, and whereas Frontier Airlines has provided new and important destinations for our business travelers and leisure travelers alike, and whereas the city of Missoula has banded together to embrace, support, and welcome Frontier, now therefore I, John Engen, Mayor of the city of Missoula in the state of Montana, do hereby proclaim June 14th, that's tomorrow, 2014 in Missoula, Montana, as Frontier Airlines Day. Congratulations.
So now I'll invite Anna to say a few words about Frontier's plans moving forward. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you all for the warm welcome this morning. Very exciting to receive a proclamation. As an employee of Frontier Airlines, I find that one of the most rewarding experiences for our airline is coming into a new community, offering low fares, and making air travel more accessible to communities as a whole. So we are very proud to be Missoula's first low-cost network carrier. And tomorrow, not only our nonstop service to Denver begins, but as mentioned, we also have connections to Atlanta, New York, DC, Dallas, Austin. If you're looking for a more exotic destination, we also have Cancun and Cozumel for your connection opportunities. And as mentioned, I specifically work in the corporate sales department. So we do have 2 business travel programs. If anyone is interested in any information on those, please feel free to contact me. And just a little preview, I cannot mention any specific details, but please check out our website next week. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And with that, I will get fired if I say anything else. We can deeply relate to the pot smoking comment from earlier, being based in Colorado as well. So I think there's a tie there. But anyway, thank you again for the warm welcome, and we look forward to serving Missoula.
So thanks, Anna, for being here. We certainly really do appreciate. And so in order for the Frontier flight to have an inaugural, you have to have the plane get here, right? So my mom's flying in this evening from Nashville on Frontier, and it saved me over $300. No kidding. So I personally have profited from MEP's efforts. Good stuff. So early last year, the governor, Steve Bullock, launched a Main Street Montana project to create business plan driven by the local and Montana business community. Missoula's own Larry Simpkins and from the Washington companies joined Bill Johnstone from D.A. Davidson to chair the effort to create a plan that would support, sustain, and retain jobs across the state. The Main Street Project, Montana Project business plan was released this past winter, and Governor Bullock chose another Missoula business leader, Maynann Ellingson, to implement the plan. Since serving as the youngest delegate to the Montana Constitutional Convention in 1972 and graduating from the University of Montana Law School in 1976, Maynann's career has touched almost every facet of state, local, private partnership finance across the state of Montana. In her capacity as Deputy City Attorney for Missoula from 77 to 83, she worked on her first open space bond issued and facilitated the creation of Missoula's first tax increment district, as well as many other things. It's amazing the number of things that you accomplished during your career. In 1983, she joined Dorsey & Whitney and began a nearly 30-year career serving as bond counsel to the state of Montana, the State Board of Investments, and most all of Montana's cities, counties, and school districts. During that time, she helped create the state's Coles Severance Tax Bond Program, its Economic Development Bond Program, and numerous other programs supporting infrastructure across the state. Until her retirement from Dorsey & Whitney in 2012, she had worked on virtually every tax increment project financing in the state and had been instrumental in keeping that option available for local governments as a tool to promote economic development. In serving local government, she was instrumental in developing the self-insurance liability and property insurance pools for both the Montana Association of the Counties and the Leagues of Cities and Towns. She has participated in financing for all the major municipal and regional airports and port authorities in Montana, and only an opportunity like working with the governor was attractive enough to bring her out of retirement. And so thank you, Maynann, for your willingness to serve Montana once again. And with that said, I'd like to invite Maynann up to the podium. Thank you.
Well, good morning, and thank you all, President Grunke, Mr. Engstrom, Mr. Mayor. I see Jean from the County Commission, several legislators and guests of the Economic Partnership and investors. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to share with you a little bit about Montana's Main Street Project. I want to start out by saying, just from the looks and sounds of everything that's going on here, you really don't need much help. It looks like you are doing a great, great job. And that's good, because I want to convey sort of up front that this Main Street Montana project is not really a new economic development program or tool. It's something very different than that. It's a process by which the governor hopes we can identify in the state barriers that are in the way of businesses growing and retaining their employment, and things that the state can do to help businesses grow and prosper. Now, having said that, I want to sort of back up and give you a little bit of the big picture here. Now, if Larry Simpkins were here today, and he wanted to be, but had to be at a Federal Reserve Board meeting, he would have talked a lot more than I will about the formation of this plan. The Main Street Montana Plan is this document. And if you will go, it's online, and if you will go online, I think you will be incredibly impressed by the breadth and depth of this report. And this report really came from listening sessions around the state that occurred in 2013. Over 1,000 people participated, and maybe some of you as well, participated in these roundtable meetings that were convened in all 5 of our regions. In addition, over 2,000 people participated in a specific poll and questionnaire aimed at identifying what are the best things about Montana, what are the worst things about Montana, what are the things that we can improve upon. And interestingly enough, most people felt pretty good about where Montana is. Now, what I'd love to ask each of you to do is, in the middle of your table, there is this document, and I'm going to follow along a little bit with this. We reproduce this because the cost of producing this book is over $10 each. And so the governor didn't want to use taxpayers' dollars to do that, although I have to tell you that both Larry Simpkins of Washington Corp and Bill Johnstone of D.A. Davidson have agreed to fund the printing of 2,500 more of these booklets, which I think is a tremendous service. Well, so let me tell you, my job, now that this has been printed and reported, my job is to help implement this plan. And I'd like to give you the overview of how we're doing that, and also tell you ways that you can participate. This plan identifies 5 pillars around which we are hoping to build a better Montana. And those 5 pillars are listed on your sheet. The first one is train and educate tomorrow's workforce today. One of the things that was consistently heard in these listening sessions is that Montana is not doing a good enough job training its students to meet the needs of the businesses that are locating here or that we want to locate here. So you will see that that is the first and number 1 pillar within this economic development plan. And I want to tell you that already tremendous efforts are underway within the state to implement that. We are in the process of obtaining TAC grants. The Office of Department of Labor and Industry is working with the university system, the community colleges, the K through 12 system to have more on-the-job training. Our director of the Department of Labor and Industry is going to Germany next week in an effort to learn more about their on-the-job training programs for skilled workers. The other really key thing that I want to mention to you about that number 1 pillar is a big initiative that has already gotten underway, and we are really hoping that business leaders will get behind the effort to expand pre-kindergarten education. The statistics show that the early investment in early childhood education benefits the economy throughout the lifetime of an individual person. So that's a very key component. As you will see if you look beyond this first page, you will see under Pillar 1 a number of goals and objectives within that pillar that will become the focus of the discussions of the implementation of that pillar. Pillar number 2 is to create a climate that attracts, retains, and grows businesses. And if you again go over in your sheet, you will see the goals and objectives that have been identified as things that can make that happen. And one of the things that the governor has already directed is each of his department heads to begin looking at all of the regulations that they implement and enforce in their departments with an eye towards seeing how many of those can be eliminated. We are patterning this project a little bit after Colorado's blueprint, which you very well may be aware of. And within the first year of their operation, they had managed to repeal over 3,000 regulations that were redundant, obsolete, or provided no value. And so that effort is already ongoing. The third pillar is build upon Montana's economic foundation. And it's totally clear, and I can imagine every one of you would tell us what those are. Our gorgeous environment, and that means we're going to continue to promote tourism. Food and agriculture, still our number one industry. We are going to make efforts, as you will see and hear, to do more to add value to the agricultural products. Our natural resources and timber, all of those are a key component of Pillar 3. The fourth pillar is one that I think all of us are already doing a good job of and will continue to do, is market Montana, both as a destination for travel, but as a place to do business. And I think the efforts of your partnership here, you're not, when you're marketing Missoula, you're marketing Montana and vice versa. And so I think there's going to be some synergy there as well. And the fifth one, and this is something that I know that will be near and dear to your heart, is to really try to nurture these emerging industries and encourage innovation. And our relationship, the state's relationship with the institutions of higher education are critical to this. So those are the 5 pillars, and within those 5 pillars, people around the state identified 114 separate tasks and objectives that the state needs to be working on. Now, that's a lot of stuff to get done in a year. So the next step of what we're going to do to try to see if we can hone in on that and develop some priorities over the next 12 months goes down to this 12 key industry networks. And I really want to try to engage you in this discussion. Actually, when they did the first draft of this report's already outdated because they only identified 11 industries, and we've already added another one. We added, of course, interconnectivity and telecommunications, because the one thing that we kept hearing around the state, we need more broadband capability, speed, and service throughout the state to grow this economy. So let me just run through these 12 industry segments and tell you what the plan is. You can see we've got food and agriculture, industry, energy and utilities, health and wellness, tourism, natural resources, manufacturing, innovation and technology, financial services, small businesses, downtown, construction and housing, and interconnectivity and telecommunications. The key implementer of this plan are these key industry networks that we will be rolling out over the next 6 months. The governor has just selected 2 leaders in each of these industries to act as co-chairs for the key industry network, and over the next 6 months, those chairs will be meeting with me and other members of the Main Street Montana team to put together a committee of 15 to 18 people who are willing to spend some time and effort looking at these pillars and these objectives from their industry standpoint. So the goal of these meetings, let's say food and ag, what are these pillars? What in here can help us? What regulations do the state need to repeal? What efforts can the state engage in to help us grow our business? So I would like to invite you all, if you are involved in any of these industries, to go either give me your card and let me know whether you would be willing to participate on one of these key industry networks, or go online and you can do two things. You can either volunteer yourself or you can volunteer somebody else to be on one of those key industry networks. We're going to be kicking off the first one of those, food and agriculture, in July, as well as telecommunications in July, and then 2 every month by the end of the year. And what will happen at those meetings is we will focus that key industry on these pillars and have a day-long meeting with the idea at the end of the day that we will come up with 3 to 5 tasks or objectives that industry identifies as the highest priorities for work during the ensuing year, with the notion that we will create a technical kin committee to help implement that work, and that might consist of trade associations, economic development organizations, and the like, with the notion that at the end of the year there will be a report to the governor about the activities of that key industry network. And how am I doing for time? I have a couple more minutes. So in addition to these key industry networks, we're implementing this on 3 other levels. One of them I already alluded to, and that is the governmental level. We've taken, or the government has taken, the administration has taken these 114 tasks and have gotten to work already on what we're calling low-hanging fruit, or the things that government can do on their own, like dealing with these regulations, starting to implement curriculum change, those sorts of things. The second area of implementation is throughout the month of July and August. We will be conducting regional meetings, the same kind of on the same regions that we used to form this plan in the first place, and trying to get each of the regions to focus on 3 or 5 key components within each pillar that they would like to work on to coincide with what we're doing at the state, so that to the extent some of these things need legislative enactment, that there will be a concerted effort from the administration and from the local jurisdictions to go to the legislature and say, this is what we need to move this particular item forward, such as early childhood education, and there will be other things. In addition then to the key industry networks, government, the regional meetings, we had our first meeting yesterday with one of the tribes. We will have in-depth meeting with each of, in Indian country, with each of the tribe through the month of July and August. So in a nutshell, that's how we are going about trying to implement the Main Street Plan, but it's only going to be as good as the involvement that we are able to garner from the private sector, because the key thing about this from both Bill Johnstone and Larry Simpkins' point of view is that this really needs to be business driven, not government driven, and that government really wants to respond to what the business community says it needs. And the government can only do that if you participate in these key industry networks and let the government know when they need to get out of the way and what they need to do to help you grow your business. And is this a good time for questions, or you want to do that later? Or anyway, so thank you very much, and my contact information is here, and I'm happy to answer any questions and get you involved in any way that you're willing to be involved. Thank you.
So thank you, Maynann, for being here, and we certainly look forward to supporting you and the work that you're doing, as well as what the work that the governor's doing. So it's really exciting stuff, and really appreciate your leadership and coming out of retirement to lead this effort. So really appreciate it. So we are going to open up the floor to questions for any of the speakers this morning, excuse me. It's a little off time, yes. Feels like the evening. So we have some microphones floating around, so if you just stand, we can get you a microphone so that you can get your question. You're going to take it easy on us this morning? Wow. Pat, thank you. So we got one over here. Melanie.
Hi, Pat Korek with Fair and Realty Partners. Question for Maynann. Maynann, one of the pillars of your work is natural resources. I'm just wondering if you could expand on that, what the state's plans are for oil and gas extraction and timber, knowing that we were once a pretty dominant timber-based economy, and that's really changed. So if you have some thoughts you might share.
Well, I really think to be totally true to the scope of this is that we are trying, as we populate this natural resources kin, to make sure that all of the key players are there. And the state at this point does not have a plan with respect to each of those sectors. What we hope will happen out of this process is that those industries will come together and direct the state and tell the state what it needs from the state with respect to the timber industry. I think if you look, though, under that pillar, you will see several tasks that were identified by the constituents across the state that were related to natural resources. I mean, they want more value added with respect to timber. They want Superfund sites cleaned up. They want renewables. I mean, so I don't mean to be dodging the question, but what I'm really trying to say is that in this process, people across the state have identified what they want to see happen. And again, this key industry network will get together, look at those, refine those, and then try to develop a proposal that will either be handled on the administrative level or the legislative level, whichever is appropriate. Is that partially responsive? Okay. Thank you.
Questions? Seeing that we don't have any more questions, what I would like to do at this time is for the the startups, again, if you guys can stand up, those we have invited this morning, because what I'd like to do is for the investor community to maybe just touch base with these guys. It's a great networking opportunity for them because we really want them to feel supported in this community by our investor community and the economic partnership as a whole. So thank all of you for being here this morning. Thank to the speakers, thanks for being here, and certainly thanks to the staff for the great work that the partnership is doing. Have a great day.